how has social media changed election campaigns?
Oh, a lot. I think before politics became so prevalent, especially on apps like Instagram and TikTok, I didn't have so much proximity to politics, but now with social media, it's so accessible, it's so easy to fact check as well. So I think in the last 5 years, it's become so much more accessible, which I appreciate.
Absolutely. Social media is the primary force behind what people vote and who people vote for. People don't vote for climate change because they're interested in it. They see what public is saying, what social media is doing.
No doubt about it. They mine social media like other people mine uranium. There's gold in those social media mines, and everybody wants it, but you have to be very wary of what you're looking for.
Just because I think traditional campaigning doesn't necessarily work for the younger generation, so I think using social media to target the younger generation, it is a smart move. So I definitely think there is power in that, and I think if people realize that and use it in the right way, then I definitely think it can be an influential part of elections.
They can essentially just find what a certain demographic wants to hear, target them, and nobody else has to know that they're talking about it. And I think that's completely wrong.
I think it's easy to get trapped inside your own social bubble in terms of politics and only hear what you want to hear, and you're only suggested what your thoughts are already aligned with. So
I think social media is one of the most important tools right now in politics because you reach so many people through it, and people live in their little thought bubbles, I guess, on social media. Echo chambers, whatever you call them. Yeah.
It has definitely helped people get messages across a lot faster and more efficiently.
Yeah, I would also say that. It's much easier to influence somebody's opinion on social media, I find, because
the algorithms definitely contribute to that.
Yeah.
Algorithms make it so that you only see what you want to see, and if you're only seeing what you want to see, most of the time people are lazy and they don't go out of their way to find what's real and what's not. So people get fed misinformation, or they just hear the same things that they hear everybody else around them saying, and there's no real discourse. People just go with what they see. And yeah, so because social media's algorithms exist, I think that it can actually be negative for elections.
Well, I think there's a lot more ability to be trashy on it, or be unfairly cruel without real consequences, unanswerable statements or such. So I think it's made it a little bit more nasty.
That's a good question, because I think a lot of people now are getting the majority of their news from social media, so it must be affecting it. But I don't really read much of it, so I can't say, but it seems so. And you read in the news, the legitimate news, how much it can sway opinions, especially south of the border, it seems. And I can only assume it's going to come north of the border, and more extreme opinions and unfounded facts, and I don't think it's necessarily a good thing.
I think it's a positive thing, that the way that they use social media, and I'd actually like to see it continue, because especially when it comes to maybe it's going to help get people engaged, which is a big concern that I have in this country, is that the lack of voter engagement, and if political parties are going to use social media, I think all of them using it is probably a good thing, to be honest. But there's still misinformation on there.
I think it gives people definitely a platform, anyone who's running a platform, to kind of share views in a quick way and give people the opportunity to kind of see things fast, instead of, I think, getting pages and pages of information on different parties. I know a lot of people that I know, because they're so used and conditioned to social media, like to see things quickly and fast and just kind of get through things. So I think they're able to reach more people, just because often it's reduced to a caption or a thought, And I know that leaves some room for interpretation sometime, but for anyone looking just for a quick opinion and a quick view, or to see where a party kind of lies or what they think.
Well, I think it's helped because for most young generation people like myself, if we're not going through social media, we won't see the latest of what's happening on the news. I don't turn on the news mostly myself, but when I see like a headline on social media, it prompts me to go online and Google what the news could be about. So I think it really helps greatly.
It's turned into a huge source of information for either political parties, and completely shapes the way that people receive information about candidates and their platforms, and how they interpret the political candidates that they're going to vote for.
I do think that's a big factor in how people choose the party to vote for, and I'm not entirely sure it's healthy. I think there's a lot of polarization that happens on social media, and people get fired up about things that are not actually facts, and people feel compelled sometimes just to ignore the data and go with what their little social bubble tells them to do. So I don't know that's a great thing, actually. I'd kind of like to see a blackout on social media for the 6 months prior to an election. It might make us all vote more sanely.